What's new, crew? Welcome to my channel. It is a rainy, dreary day here, and come this time of year through fall, rainy kind of dreary days end up being some of my favorite days. You get so busy with the garden and any project that has to be done outside that sometimes house things can kind of go to the wayside. We've been so busy with the orchard and any other outside project that has been going on recently that I just have some things I wanted to take care of this morning. So that's what I did all morning. You can probably see behind me here my big pile of all of our snow stuff, our winter stuff that is getting ready to be put back down in the basement and hung up. So baby's napping. I want to do a really nice hearty meal. It's probably gonna be one of the last ones until fall rolls back around and the cool weather comes back. So I pulled out of the freezer this morning. This is some venison stew beef. We actually got it from one of our neighbors. They helped us put the orchard in. So blessed to have their help. It was a fantastic day. We learned a lot. Our neighbor actually teaches some permaculture and some perennial classes at a local school here, and she was more than excited to have her and her husband come over and help us put in the orchard. So we gave them a big fillet of salmon as a thank you, and in typical Midwest fashion, you can't take a gift without receiving a gift. So they gave us some of their venison, their like tipped venison, and they ended up giving us some ground venison, which is actually one of our favorites. And I'm gonna make a venison pot pie. So we're gonna go ahead and get our root vegetables cut up and some onions. We're gonna get those cooking down on the stove. The thing we love to pair the most with the venison pot pie is actually either an apple crisp or an apple pie. And if you're new around here, I really suck at making pie crusts. It's my Achilles heel. I just cannot do it. So we're gonna practice today. Hopefully it turns out, because we're making a pot pie and we're making apple pie. So hopefully we can get some pie crusts out of here that are at least somewhat looking like pie crusts. So I pulled out 2 pints of our peeled apples here. We're gonna make an apple pie and our venison pot pie. So come along with me today on this rainy day and just have a relaxing day in the kitchen. I am covered in paint. I've been working on repainting all of our white walls white. So it's been a busy morning. So I'm excited to just hang out, sip on my coffee, spend some time in the kitchen prepping dinner for my family tonight. So come along and let's go ahead and just have a relaxing, easy, breezy day in the kitchen. I already have all of my vegetables kind of cooking down in some butter. I'm gonna turn this down just a little bit here. I'm doing this during baby's nap time just because this is one of those meals that I need to take my time with, especially with my pie crust, because I'm not very good at it, and if I want to practice and be able to take my time, I need to do it during nap time. So I'm going to get everything kind of cooked down and assembled, and then I'll put it in the refrigerator and I'll wait until it's a little bit closer to dinner time and I'll put it in the oven. So we're gonna cook this down. I will probably throw some frozen corn in here and maybe some frozen peas at the end, just to throw in a little bit more of a vegetable option in here. If I had green beans, I'd throw in green beans. I already pulled out 2 of my pie pans here, and I currently put my Crisco in my freezer, and I'm gonna let that sit in my freezer for a couple minutes while I pull out the rest of my ingredients for my pot pie. When you guys told me in the comments that I should try freezing my Crisco, or at least putting it in the freezer a couple minutes before I'm gonna make my pie crust, because it'll keep it chilled and make my pie crust a little bit easier to manage. So we're gonna try that today and kind of see how that goes. Just troubleshooting and keep practicing, and one day, hopefully my pie crust will come together. So we'll see what happens. But while this cooks down a little bit, I'm going to let my root vegetables get soft first before I throw in my ground venison. I'm actually gonna put that ground venison in the fridge because it is completely thawed out now and I want it to stay cold. So I'm gonna put this in the fridge, and once these get to be pretty much done, when they're about 5 minutes away from being done, I'm gonna throw in this ground venison and cook that up as well, and then we'll put that whole assembled thing in the oven with our pot pie. So let's pull the rest of our ingredients for our pie crust and hope that this frozen or cooled Crisco trick is the thing that I've been missing. Crisco is actually very cold, so I'm hoping that this is gonna be the thing that makes my pie crust work. So I'm just using the recipe on the back of the Crisco container. It's 2 cups flour, 1 teaspoon salt, 3/4 cup of Crisco, and 4 to 8 tablespoons of ice water. I feel like this is where I always flub up because I never trust my instincts on it. But I tend to always have the same issue. And you're gonna laugh, but it's fine. I'm gonna say it anyways. It either is too wet or it's too dry, which is not the same issue, but I just haven't found that sweet spot yet. So I think I'm gonna try this. We're gonna try to roll this out and see how it goes. I'm gonna clear my workspace off a little bit, stir what I have on the stove, and I'm hoping by the time we roll out these pieces of pie crust and we get our apple pie kind of assembled in the oven, my filling for my venison pot pie will be just about ready to go, and we'll be able to assemble that one as well. So that's kind of my thinking on this. I have talked about this Ninja food processor a couple of times. I got it about a year ago as an early Christmas gift for my husband. It has quickly become one of my favorite kitchen tools of all time. I use it for, I cannot wait to have this for all of garden season this season for preserving. I think it's going to be a game changer in how I preserve things, how quickly I can go through preserving things. I'm absolutely loving it. He got me the commercial sized one. I'm pretty sure I have this link down below in the description box if you're curious on it. It was an investment, but these are awesome. I have to go get my apron because otherwise this is going to be all over me. I don't know, you guys, I'm already regretting this. And I don't think there was enough water in this pie crust. I'm kind of wondering if I should put it back in the food processor and add a little bit more water. Or if I should just roll with my mistakes. Do you guys want to laugh with me? This is almost always what ends up happening to me. If you guys have suggestions, comments, please help me. I want to get good at this so bad, but it's like, I'm not kidding, it's almost like every time I try it gets worse. I'm not. Oh my gosh, sometimes all you could do is just laugh. Sometimes that's all you can do. Myself a lot different than other people on social media is that I'm gonna show even the failures and the things that don't go over so well, because I think that's the thing that makes homesteading in this like from scratch lifestyle something that can intimidate way too many people, is that they get scared because they're going to end up with a pie crust that looks like this. And you know what? This is part of the process. It's part of learning, and it's still going to taste good, and I promise you, something that you work hard for to try to get better at is always going to taste better than anything that comes from a store. So all you do is keep practicing, and eventually, maybe someday, I will figure out these darn pie crusts. Our pie crust, or our pot pie on the stove is starting to smell fantastic. One of my favorite smells ever is the potatoes, carrots, onions all kind of cooking down together. just makes the house smell so good. So I'm going to drain out the simple syrup that's in here and just dump the apples into our sad pie crust. These apples were a new preservation project for me this last year, and they have been my husband and I's one of our most favorite things that we preserved. We actually did these apples as like a family project, and these have been awesome to have on the shelf. We love them so much. You can put a couple knobs of butter, a tablespoon or a couple squeezes of some lemon juice on here. Really, it's kind of whatever you want. But I usually do apple crisp because I'm not very good at making pie crust, and we love apple crisp. But I really wanted to just try today and go for it, and it's the only way it's ever gonna get better. Okay, so Grandma swears by a couple knobs of butter on here, and Grandma knows best. Now, I'm gonna hope that my top pie crust works a little bit better than my bottom one. It might not, and if it doesn't, that is a-okay. We're gonna do the exact same thing, even if that means we have to piece it together like a puzzle piece. So let's set this aside, kind of reflour our workstation, and hope that the next crust is a little bit better than our first one. We got a little carried away there. It's alright. What Grandma did tell me is that when you rip it like this, take a little bit of water or a little milk, it'll seal that up for you. You guys, I know it looks horrendous, but I'm actually not super mad at this. It's not perfection and it's not very beautiful, but you know what? It's a lot better than anything I've made recently coming to my pie crust, so I'm hoping maybe our pot pies will get even better, but I'm not mad at this. I'm gonna go ahead and shove this in the oven and let this cook. Our pot pies are ready for our venison here. Now, you don't have to do venison, you guys. I know some people really like when I cook with our venison and our fish and things that we do. And other people are really kind of weirded out by it, which I also understand, especially if it's not something you're accustomed to, but we really, really like it. So we're cooking with venison today. Excited about it, but they're getting better. So hopefully this practice is paying off a little bit. I know it's not great, but it's okay. Once again, you guys, I'm not super mad at this. I know it doesn't look great, and that's okay. But overall, I don't think that's too shabby. I'm gonna try to get this last one rolled out while our venison finishes cooking, and then I'm just gonna throw in probably a handful of frozen peas and a handful of frozen corn, and then we're gonna have to get our gravy thrown together. I love making pot pies because the colors just look fantastic. And honestly, you guys, if you didn't want to do pot pie, you could do this exact same thing. Throw in some beef stock and make it a stew or a soup with some bread. That would be fantastic too. That's actually kind of what I thought I was making this morning. That was my original plan, but then I thought, oh, you know what? We should do an apple pie and a venison pot pie and try to practice those pie crusts. So I don't think that's half bad. It came in one piece, it filled the top. It might not have made enough for me to do a really pretty scalloped edge and make it really smooth and delicious, but you know what, you guys? I think this might be the best pie crust I've ever made on my own. So I'm gonna count that as a win. I'm gonna go ahead and get my venting holes on here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and put this in the oven. I know I keep going back and forth, but it's 2:30. It's probably gonna take about an hour-ish to cook. While those cook, I'm gonna take a second, continue to kind of sip on my coffee, get my kitchen somewhat cleared off and cleaned up. I haven't washed my dishes yet today, so I'm gonna do that. And then my kitchen should really remain clean until later tonight after I have a little bit of dinner dishes. I got some painting done that I wanted to get done. I'm working in sections just so it's not super overwhelming. And I got a couple closets cleaned out, all the toys sorted and kind of re-rotated heading into summer. I like to take all of those toys and kind of put them away, leave out just a couple buckets of toys because I want the kids outside. So most of that's gone. All of our winter stuff is ready to be put back downstairs, and I was able to practice a skill that I really want to become a little bit more proficient at. So I think today overall is a pretty good day. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to hang out with me and make some pies, practice a skill that maybe I'm not very good at, but wanted to give just a little bit more time into, and hopefully, I keep saying it, hopefully one day it'll come into fruition and I'll be able to make really nice pie crust kind of on a whim. I hope that wherever you guys are, you are having a fantastic day eating something very delicious and homemade for your family. And of course, I will see you guys in another video.